Hello and welcome to the video. This video is about GPSs. Now this big puck thing here on top of this Pixhawk cube is probably one of the biggest that's generally used in the hobby. However, they don't have to be this big. They can be the size of your thumbnail. And they're used an awful lot with flight control systems, things like RD Pilot, which runs on things like this, things like iNav, things like Betaflight use it for GPS rescue. But I've had a couple of interesting comments on a video I did a while ago when I was talking about this thing here. This is the GPS mate from ViFly. It's a battery backup system that actually powers the GPS before you power the rest of the model. And why would you want to do that? Well, sometimes, and if you have GPSs, you'll have probably experienced this, it can take an awful long time to get that first lock. So I want to talk a little bit about GPSs. All the information, if you want to go into much more detail, is available with a simple Google search. But I thought for those of you that can't be bothered, who just kind of want to know the basics about why sometimes it can take an awful long time for your GPS to get a lock, which can be really frustrating, particularly if your VTX is getting hot or your DJI Air unit is getting really hot. You kind of want the GPS unit to lock quite quick. But also some tips and tricks to help your GPS lock up faster at the field. So there are lots of constellations. Constellations are just the satellites that are in orbit around the Earth that the GPS receiver is listening to establish its position horizontally and vertically. Now, as well as having the one that was created by the Department of Defense in the USA, there are other systems as well. There are things like GLONASS, which is a Russian system, and there is the Galileo system, which is from Europe. In some software that you set up, it will then allow you to enable and disable these additional satellites. So rather than just use one lot or one constellation of satellites, it's using all the satellites above you. And sometimes that can help get a faster lock depending on where you are, because the satellites actually move around. So part of the challenge is when your GPS starts, it has to figure out what satellites are above it and then triangulate its position using a time offset. It's all very clever stuff to actually then figure out where it is on the Earth and how high it is. Now, when the GPS starts, the amount of time it takes to get a 3D lock, that means a 3D lock is usually what we call a solid GPS lock, where it has a reasonably accurate position. We'll talk about that more in a second, but also reasonably robust as well. That can take 6, 7, 8 minutes sometimes. Sometimes it can be almost instant. I want to talk a little bit about why that is, because some of the comments on that ViFly video, I just kind of want to cover that, because there seems to be a little bit of confusion about what's called cold, warm and hot starts for GPS modules. So I want to explain what those are. One of the things that can cause your GPS to take an awful long time to get a lock is interference. Now, the GPS frequencies it uses, L1 and L2, are about the 1.5, 1.2 gigahertz frequency range. And the signal that the GPS is actually getting is incredibly small. So if you are using something that's creating noise in that 1.5, 1.2 gigahertz band, it can upset your GPS, which is why normally GPSs tend to be on stalks well away from the rest of the electronics. Now, things like your 1.3 gigahertz FPV analog systems are a classic one that can sometimes really upset GPS locks. The second one, and kind of less well understood, is that occasionally, because there's lots of digital systems flying around in the system, a digital waveform, i.e., an off and on, actually is made up of lots of different frequencies. There's something called Fourier analysis, and you can actually break it down. The issue is that sometimes some of those frequencies are going to be in that range, very low levels typically, but if it's right next to the GPS, it'll stop it from locking. So the big tip is, if you have a GPS that is taking a long time to lock and it's right by all the other electronics, I would actually move it as far away as you physically can to try and minimize the interference that you're getting from the other electronics on the model. So let's talk a little bit more about cold, warm and hot starts. So if the GPS hasn't had a lock for a while, what happens when it starts up is it has to go through the process of actually listening for, detecting, and then getting all the information and doing all the stuff that it needs to do in order to create a lock. That can take a long time. That is a cold start. And that time is, again, because the satellites have to be heard, identified, compared, and logged in the GPS receiver to do all the calculation. The cool thing is once you have gone through a cold start, there's usually a battery backup in here. Now in these big ones, the battery's a bit bigger, but in things like this really small Maytec unit, which I tend to use a lot, the little silver thing on the back here is actually the battery. And that battery backup keeps that GPS satellite data in memory. So next time you start it, the GPS already has the last position on the planet. It also has a rough idea what the time is, because establishing the time is all part of how the GPS system works. And then what it does is then detecting the satellites above you. That warm start can take an awful lot less time. We're talking about a handful of minutes tops for a warm start. And then you have a hot start. So maybe the first time you go to a field, if you haven't flown the model for ages, maybe it's completely different satellites above, maybe it's having to start from scratch, you get a cold start, might take you a long time. Next time you plug it in, it might be, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 hours later. It might even be the day after. The day after that, you plug it in, it locks a lot faster. That's a warm start because it only has to try and figure out the satellites above it. Some of the information in here is really good. Also, if you're within, I think it's about 100 kilometers, it kind of helps it figure out where it is. That can speed up. And then finally, you have something called the hot start. And that's when you've had a flight, you land, you swap the batteries over, plug it back in, you'll find the GPS lock is almost instant. And that because the location, the time, the GPS constellation that it's actually looking at is pretty much all the same. So it's just going through and confirming that that is all still the same. And then you get your lock. Now, in theory, you can calculate your position on the planet from any 3 satellites, but most software that we're using these days will want a minimum of 5 or 6 satellites with something called a HDOP of less than 2.0. We'll talk about what HDOP and VDOP is in a minute, but HDOP is kind of a signal quality or how accurate the lock is. So what about if, in your instance, you always seem to be getting a cold start where it's taking 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes or more sometimes to get a lock that first time? Well, it's probably because it is going through essentially a cold start, and that could be because there's no battery backup on the device. It could be that the little battery that's attached on the back has give up the ghost. That can happen with older units. The other things as well is it could be interference from other parts of the system. As I've talked about, physical separation is a great way to try that out. Just unwind the cable, put the GPS on another part of the model or on a stand. Usually there's, like that big whippy aerial thing that you stick these things on and see if that locks up any better. If it does, it almost certainly means that something on the model is upsetting it. Like, for example, I was doing some testing with my Bifrost stuff with GPS, and one of the pieces in the very early units of Bifrost, although it shouldn't have been, was producing a signal that meant the GPS wouldn't lock. Third thing is you need a clear view of the sky. The bigger the physical sensor on the GPS, typically the more sensitive it is. Big GPSs like this tend to be more sensitive than the small ones, so you need the best possible view of the sky as possible. Don't put it right next to buildings or under awnings or anything like that when you're trying for a lock. Give it the best possible view of the sky as you can. Ideally, I don't tend to mount my GPS units under lots of foam even. I tend to like them, if it's going to have a bit of foam, literally 1 or 2 millimeters, a little bit of foam just on top. But I quite like them having nothing on top to give the best possible and lowest time to get a lock on the GPS. Last one that you can occasionally find is just like any other signals, they can bounce around, and multipathing, which is something we talk about in FPV, where if you have 2 signals coming in and one hits the GPS, the other one hits a building, then bounces off and hits the GPS, that can cause issues too, which is another reason why when you're waiting for a GPS lock, don't be by solid things that potentially could reflect the signal around. And that's where that Wi-Fi device comes in handy. You can power the GPS when you haven't used it for a while, and all of the 5-6 minutes that you need to get that first 3D lock, that cold start, is done by the battery backup from that Wi-Fi device. And then once it's got it, you can kind of then plug and power up the rest of the system, so the VTX is getting hot, or the DJI unit's getting hot, or you're consuming power out of the main flight battery, but you won't have to wait for long, because then it's a warm or probably a hot start. Next thing to talk about then is HDOP. HDOP stands for horizontal degree of precision. There's also a VDOP and some other DOPs as well, but the one that we tend to worry about is HDOP. HDOP is how precise the lock is. Less than 2.0 in things like iNav is the default. Above that, it won't let you launch, and you'll tend to find as it gets more and more satellites and refines the position on the planet, it'll get better and better. Now, interestingly, the GPS doesn't give you the lock to within a couple of centimeters. It's usually the precision of a GPS lock, a regular GPS lock, unless you're using one of the high-end, high-precision, expensive systems from people like Holybro, it's going to be 2-3 meters. So if you are getting a lock, that's kind of the accuracy that you can expect. So if you do return to home and your model lands within about 3 meters of where the home position is, then you know what, that's pretty much to be expected. Often it's less than that, but it can be anything up to a radius of about 3-4 meters typically would be considered the home position. Now, one of the tricks that I do, when I'm flying models with the GPS, will actually, if the flying site is reasonably close to the house, I will actually power up and let the GPSs get a lock at the house, which is the cold start, and then when I'm at the field it will happen a lot faster. Again, about 100 kilometers is usually the kind of distance that it will work within. If you're on one side of the country and you get a GPS lock, you go to the other side, you'll probably end up, it'll probably feel more like a cold start than a warm one. But it can be useful if you are at home and you have the time. You can just power the GPS to power it, let it get a lock, and then it'll be much faster at the field. And for me, I always make sure that I get a lock. You'll tend to find when you're doing stuff on the bench, it'll really struggle to get a GPS lock. Or if it does, it won't get the same number of satellites. When it's outside without a roof in front of it, then you'll get a much better lock. So if you're going to do that, my advice would be just sit it in the garden, put it on the grass well away from the house, and just let it soak and get its first GPS lock, and then you're kind of ready to go to the field and be up and flying very quickly. So hopefully that's interesting, a little bit of information about GPSs. It's something that we're using more and more in the hobby, and it's also why things like GPSs on stuff like the Copilot from ZOHD can sometimes take a long time to lock up. I see a lot of issues with that where the GPS in those is too close to things like receivers and VTX equipment and ESCs. Typically moving it, the GPS physically away from everything on the model is usually the thing that will fix 90% of the problems with getting a GPS lock. But again, if you have a GPS that consistently does a cold start and takes a long time, it's probably worthwhile, just buying another one, replacing it. Unless you're a very skilled soldering expert, it's very tricky to swap the batteries on the back, and it can save you a lot of frustration and time at the field, stood there waiting for that final GPS to lock. Thank you for spending your time today watching that video. You can find me in all the usual places on social media, and if you're trying to learn about a subject, then check out the playlist. All of my videos are organized into easy to follow playlists that if you're trying to learn a topic will take you from the basics right the way through to some pretty advanced stuff.